It's not about the prestige, but it's about having your music make a difference in somebody's life.
Multiple albums, several top 10 hits, but success, it often comes with struggle.
Here, son, I didn't know. That was a valuable lesson, man. That was a hard lesson.
Crazy good conversation with R&B legend Glenn Jones now on The Pulse.
This is my life. This is my career. This is my talent. So I'm going to do what I want to do. Got a lot of love to give, yeah.
All right, guys, so welcome to The Pulse. And it's a special, I mean, they're all special, right? But we're celebrating Black Music Month throughout June. And so we decided to try to get some of the legends in music, some of the people whose hits you absolutely will recognize, people who have a great story. And one of those people joins us today. It is my pleasure to be joined by Mr. Glenn Jones today on The Pulse. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you doing it. I was telling you before we got started, We've Only Just Begun has been in my head. We've only just begun. The romance is not over. Ever since we went ahead and confirmed you coming on the show. You hear that a lot.
Yeah, I hear that a whole lot. The songs that I've recorded over the years have lasted. My mission and my purpose was always to record music that was timely but timeless, and it's been able to sustain all of those years.
So I always start off the show talking to people, particularly people who have done a lot of different things, about how they define themselves and their career. And I look back, you started singing, I guess, professionally at like 8.
Yeah, I actually was performing with a group that used to tour with all of the great gospel singers. Um, Shirley Caesar, the Mighty Clouds of Joy. We used to be an opening act for that, and we traveled all over the country. We used to come to Philadelphia. We used to play a venue called the Met. I think it was down at Broadway and Popular.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, man, just so it's been ever since I can remember, I've been doing music.
They actually redid, revamped, renovated, and reopened the Met. So the next time you come back, you got to do the Met in Philly also.
I would love to. Yeah, beautiful.
I was explaining to you that I grew up in radio. I grew up in the Philadelphia WDAS days. My father used to manage. You remember coming to those stations. How have things changed? Because I don't remember you specifically, but people used to come in, hang out at the station. You would sing. Has the industry changed?
It has changed so much. Those days were great because it was more about, the music itself, putting, songs into rotation, because it was great music, but a lot of the radio stuff is controlled by consultants and all that kind of stuff. So it's different. And, you don't get a chance to go to a lot of stations and hang out and be on the air for 30 minutes, sometimes longer than that, depending on who it was that was, interviewing you. So it's changed a lot.
I was doing research on your career above and beyond all the songs that I knew. One of the first impressions I got in looking back is you seemed like somebody who just loved singing. Like the industry stuff, it didn't seem like you always loved that, but you just loved singing. Is that a fair assessment?
I guess because I discovered that I had that talent at such an early age, and I knew what I wanted to do and knew what I wanted to be, and to have, found myself, early on to say, okay, this is who I am, this is what I am. It's not all about the money, it's not about the prestige, but it's about, meeting the fans. You meet people that would tell you that certain songs that you did touched their lives, changed their lives, kept their families together, and that's the great thing, is having a purpose in the music, not just doing another record to sing a song, but having your music make a difference in somebody's life. And it makes me feel good to know that.
You talked about touring very young and starting when you were young, but you grew up singing in church. So that was your foundation.
I was a gospel singer, And I had a group. I formed a group called the Modulations from Jacksonville, Florida, because that's where I was born and raised. And I met Reverend James Cleveland back in the early '70s, early to mid '70s, and he heard some music that I had written, and he heard me sing, and he connected me with the record label that he was with, called Savoy Records.
Mm-hmm.
Signed me to the record deal. I had a record deal when I was 17, 18 years old.
That was the beginning, and I'd imagine it was cool getting started at a young age, but you also found out very quickly that you didn't know a whole lot about the industry.
Man, I didn't know anything about the industry. I knew how to, make a song. I knew how to, compose a song, but the business side, I didn't know any of that because I ended up having my publishing taken from me, and just here, son, and I didn't know, and I that was a valuable lesson, man. That was a hard lesson.
Yeah. It was, I started off saying that you love the singing, and that part of it came up in the church and generally defined as a good guy in an industry that doesn't have a whole lot of people who say the good guys. But
Right.
I wonder if that hurt you, because the industry throughout, they kept trying to stop singing about love, sing more about sex, stop singing about, it just seemed like they kept messing with you.
Well, the thing that you have to do is not let people sway you and tell you what to do. This is my life. This is my career. This is my talent. So I'm gonna do what I want to do. And I've stayed with that. And in my opinion, it's paid off for me. I decided on who I was. And to me, there is nothing more important than love. Love is everything because without the love between a mother and a child, a wife and a husband, I mean, that's the key. That's the basis to everything. So I write about what I know.
Next on The Pulse, his songs were all over the charts, but be clear, it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Life can deal you a hand that you really, are not ready for. But you know, life is full of peaks and valleys. And the main thing is being able to survive that.
Welcome back to The Pulse. The good guy with the great voice, Glenn Jones, joins us. Let's get back to the discussion. This comment that I heard that record companies made to you really didn't age well. But there were people who were saying at that point they wanted you to be more like your label mate, who was R. Kelly at the time, because they said you were singing too much about the things you know and
Yeah.
love and commitment. And R. Kelly was the person whose, I guess, path they wanted you to follow.
After all these years, I have pastors and preachers that have me to come to their church and play and perform the music that I do right now. They want to hear, here I go again. I've been searching. We've only just begun. In you, I found perfect love. They want me to come. They don't want, I came to Jesus, amazing grace,
Right.
because you're in the world. You're supposed to be in the world, but not of the world. But there are, things that deal with not only in the spirit, but they deal in the natural. Husband and wives, they have problems just like anybody else have, and they don't need to put on, some choir singing. When they want to try to connect and get next to each other, they're gonna put on some Luther or some Glenn Jones. How about that?
I guess trying to figure out if it bothers you, because somebody who's had, was it 15 albums now?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
15 albums. You've had multiple top 10 hits. You've
yeah,
had success by every measurable standard throughout your career. But
yeah,
again, there were people who were saying, I was reading reviews, and people said one of the most underrated voices of all time.
yeah.
One of the most underrated singers, which is a huge compliment, but it also means that you haven't gotten the recognition that perhaps you should.
I'll admit, there have been times when I've done records, I've written songs that, in my opinion, they were the best of what I had to offer. And I was sure that that one was going to be the one that would have me set for life. And it didn't happen like that. But I think because I'm still working and I'm still engaged in the music, it gives me something to look forward to. It gives me something, a reason to get up every day. Because there are some people that had overnight success. Where are they now? And not only that, it ain't over. You know what I'm saying? It's not over, bruh. Trust me. How many people in their young age, 8, 9, 10 years old, say, I want to be such and such, and end up being that and doing that. And that's exactly what I've done. So that's my success.
But you look into the background, you had record labels take your money. You had a situation where you had to file bankruptcy. You had a label saying, what a great voice, but you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
You know, a 40 plus year career, you know, and yet you're still just smiling and laughing, going along. The race is not over.
Life can deal you a hand that you really, are not ready for. But, life is full of peaks and valleys, and the main thing is being able to survive that, and make it through and have a certain kind of gratitude in your life and in your heart and in your mind.
Next up, his career spanned 30 years and he still enjoys performing live.
One thing about going on stage, man, you get instant gratification. You get that love. People just pour it out. There is no better feeling than to put yourself out there and people accept you and love you, and they show it. They give it up to you.
So you're touring right now.
Yeah.
So
right.
why still touring?
Because I love it. I get to meet people that have been with me through my career. People that know songs, from my projects. One thing about going on stage, man, you get instant gratification. You get that love. People just pour it out. There is no better feeling than to put yourself out there and people accept you and love you, and they show it. They give it up to you. There's nothing like it.
So you're still loving doing it.
Yeah.
All right. So what are we
going to do? I still can do it. I want you to know that.
Wait a minute. I was trying. I generally, as a rule, don't ask people to sing when they come on and do types of interviews, because I don't think that's fair to put people on the spot to do that, not knowing it was going to happen. But you're puffing your chest out a little bit.
Well, I mean, I just, I want people to know that, a lot of times, they go to see artists that they follow and they love, and, they really get disappointed because, as the years is going by, then, it decreases, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not taking the credit for it. I'm saying, it's just man upstairs who has helped me to maintain that. So if I would say something, I'd say like, we've only just begun. The romance is not over. Got a lot of love to give. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Listen, okay. See, so now I don't feel bad about challenging you to do it. You can mess around and have people never want to come back on your show again. If you sit back and say, could you sing a couple bars for me? No, I'm sorry, I'm not appropriately warmed up. Like I can't do that. That ain't you. So, respect.
No doubt.
Next on The Pulse, singer Glenn Jones explains how being a good person may have been his undoing.
I've been told that I might have had more success if I had like all of this crazy drama stuff happening around me.
People come to see your shows. What are we gonna see?
They're gonna find a warm, friendly artist, an artist with a sense of humor, an artist who's at home on stage. They're going to find an intimate, up close and personal kind of, you know, situation. And they're going to get to hear the songs that I've recorded that they loved,
You have something new out now, right? You're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
something with Regina Bell.
yeah. I have a new album. The album is entitled "Love by Design," and Regina and I we recorded the duet. The title cut, "Love by Design," which is incredible song. Man, it's beautiful. It was number one in the smooth jazz vocal chart Billboard, and I did a record. I did a single from that record with Nick Coleon, my dear friend who's passed away.
Mm-hmm.
We did a record together called "You and Me," and I also have a record with my wife Genovia Jeter Jones, who's an incredible singer. We did a record called "Trust in Me."
You mentioned your wife, so I don't feel bad following up on that question. But that was like you talked about the love and all the things that mattered. And a couple different interviews you've done throughout the years, you've pointed out that you don't just sing that, you don't just say that, you live that. And this is a lady who's been there with you, when you had nothing and went through the biggest of struggles.
We met when I was working with her uncle. Her uncle was a legendary gospel singer named Julius Cheeks. And Julius was, he and Sam Cooke and all those guys, they were really close because they used to, work together all the time. And I met her. We were recording a live album in D.C. With June Cheeks, and she was a part of the project. She stepped up to the mic, opened up, and I'm like, okay, that's the one right there. Man, incredible singer, a good writer, just amazing talent, and a lot of records that I have done. She's been a big influence in it because she helped me structure a lot of my lead vocals, producing vocals and stuff on my records. So yeah,
It seems
um,
like whenever we kind of do these interviews, not just us, but people in general, and they talk about the situation, and there's always some story about drama in the background, and like it must feel good that none there. There's no drama to talk about with you and your wife.
well, I've been told that I might have had more success
Mm.
if I had like all of this crazy drama stuff happening around me. But I didn't have that, the way I was raised, my family. I had a good family, good mother and father. I had eight brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest of nine, and they're like my seniors, So I was like the baby boy. I always had people looking out for me, people protecting me, people pushing me forward and encouraging me. So I had a good life, That's all I can say.
Well, what does that say about the industry? The people were saying if you had been more shady, more drama, if you hadn't been together with your wife, if you would sing about, random women on tour and all that kind of stuff, then you may have had a more successful career.
Well, it kind of sounds twisted, but bad news always travels faster than good news. I mean, people are not interested. People are into, the whole, the gossip and, just they want to hear, the craziness, you know. And I, that's not to say that, there haven't been things in my life that were challenging. I've been challenged by life, many times. But I think that, my my upbringing and my faith was the thing that kept me, and kept me moving forward.
There are a couple of series that are out there that kind of explore, people who had these big careers. And I think it's harsh to say whatever happened to because that implies people aren't around anymore. But that
Right.
that like unsung theme,
Yeah.
and you did one of those. And as I saw it, I was asking myself, I wonder if that's an honor or an annoyance.
Well, they have done unsung episodes with artists who were, hugely successful, but they fell off because they had issues, whether it was drugs or alcohol or whatever. But for me, It was a privilege because I wanted people to know my story. I want them to know where I came from, what I accomplished, and the fact that I'm still doing what I do.
What's the advice you have for the next generation of people who are stepping into this and want to follow suit?
Be true, like they say, be true to thine own self. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that's what you got to do. You got to be true to you.
We try
You know,
to end every show with the concept of use your voice for good. We ask people, what's the issue that matters to you? What's the thing you would like people to embrace?
I have a song that I recorded with my wife called "Don't Walk Away," and it speaks about that here in the United States and possibly all over the world. That people are starving and dying and nobody cares. But and I have a nonprofit called the Love Jones Foundation.
Okay.
And, we cater to who we call the forgotten seniors, because a lot of people are in that position in those places and they don't have anybody to give them love. So I go in, I take my little rhythm section, I go in and I sing, from Nat King Cole to Billie Holiday to Frank Sinatra to Marvin Gaye to the Temptations, but just you know, whenever you can be, whenever you can make a difference in somebody's life, whenever you can be supportive, whenever you can show love, do that.
I say this all the time, but I truly enjoyed hearing the inside story, the behind the scenes thing, and how Glenn Jones has continued to be successful by just being a really good guy. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And remember that you can always hear the entire interview on podcast, any place where podcasts are available. We'll be back to do it all again next week. And remember, whenever you can, use your voice for good and have a good one.